but are there any other things that this room is trying to tell me and trying to get me to do? And the answer is almost always yes, there is. I'm so sorry about this platforming.
I need you to retroactively hand me the controller.
Cristian Macias from DualShockers.com. It's me, Peter Hunt Spitek from DualShockers.com. You know me from work. I got a game to show you. Have you heard of Animal Well?
I have heard of Animal Well. I'm excited to finally get the rundown on what this game is all about, because I'm super curious. I've heard a lot of kind of good things, some ancillary things from folks around DS channels, and I'm looking forward to see what this game's all about.
This is pretty cool. This is published by BigMode. This is a videogamedunkey. He's a YouTuber. This is his first game that he is sort of publishing from his publishing house, BigMode. Developed by Billy Basso, although like I think he's like a solo dev, but you know how like game development is so rarely done entirely by one person. You know what I mean? But I believe this is his first major game. So starting a new save file here, just getting from the beginning of the game here. I wanted to be very careful about the stuff that I'm showing you, because this is a puzzle platformer Metroidvania. And one of the things about this game is that information is kind of currency, and understanding how to play the game is a little bit part of the puzzle. I know that sounds pretentious, and it might not seem that way right off the bat, but that's something that as you play more, you will begin to understand. So he plays this little circular guy, and you can sort of see that the environment sort of is pretty reactive to you, and you are platforming around these different spots, and we'll come into some puzzles here, but curious what you think of just how this looks and all that.
I am really digging the art style for this. I even like the sound effects. Something like, what is that, like closer to like 16-bit? And little squirrel running around?
Yeah, there's a lot of great animals in this, believe it or not.
Press circle to crank.
But you can also see, like, this is the first like sort of puzzle that you get to, where and this is like a very, very common type of puzzle where you've got like a locked door, you've got some switches, you can sort of see that you can get to some switches,
right?
But you're like, oh, like how do I actually find them? And so a lot of this game is about like finding hidden paths. You can see that like there's this area below, but we're obviously in the upper area. And so like, okay, we're gonna walk around and okay, that little path led to this path. But then the question is, how do we get up to that top path? It's like, okay, I guess we'll follow this, sort of thread as far as we can go. Obviously, there's an upper path up there.
Had a save scum though,
there's, oh, you gotta. I mean, what happens if you die? By this scary ghost. There's not a lot of combat in the game. The combat is more like puzzle focused. You'll see sort of what I mean by that in a little bit here. But yeah, you can see that there was very clear about like, okay, we need to get to this one place. Okay, here's how we can potentially get there, and then, boom, there we go.
So that was
now that door opened.
That was about 3 or 4, maybe even 5 rooms to complete this pretty simple early on puzzle. Does it get pretty complex? I'd imagine it gets pretty complex later on. It's a Metroidvania after all, right?
It is very complex. A lot of the puzzles are simple in terms of like what it's actually asking you to do, but when it comes to like actually doing the actions, it is tricky. We got an item here, the firecrackers. You can only hold 3 of these at a time. These are basically like one of the only like real combat items. Like you can see there's another one of these ghosts here, and if you just set off a firecracker with the ghost in the room, it sort of takes care of them. However, these ghosts are like really not like, you don't encounter them all that often, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, the puzzles are like very frequently like overarching. You know what I mean? And like encapsulate like several different rooms and require you to think in sort of a lot of different places to figure things out.
So are you getting more abilities? The way I think in Metroidvania is you get an ability that lets you access different kinds of stuff from rooms that you've previously visited. Is there stuff like that going on in this game as well?
Yes. So I think the big thing about this game is that it requires you to sort of keep a lot of things, tabs running in your head. So you're like, okay, I have firecrackers now. I can solve that one room that I wasn't able to solve before. Also, here's just an example. You're collecting these eggs
Gorgeous
throughout
one.
the entire game. They're a collectible, yeah, the gorgeous egg. And so you can sort of see like the area to actually get to find this little room is really small and very easy to miss, you know, so you kind of have to keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, so you end up getting like multiple different abilities as you go, and those abilities all directly link to you being able to solve puzzles. So here's a map. This is, I mean, just a map, but it sort of helps you be able to figure things out. You can see like that's the size of the area we just were in. It's very Metroidvania-y. And then I think I zoom out here in a second to just sort of show you like just how big this whole game is in terms of like being densely populated. Yeah, there you go. Like there's just a lot to take in with this. But yeah, so the items that you get help you progress into new areas, but also like they help you actually solve puzzles. So there's a lot of times where you're like, okay, I don't think I have all the tools that I actually need to complete the puzzles. But
an ostrich, iguana, seahorse, gorgeous. And the hausu cat.
Yeah, huge. Eat some fruit, regain some health. Penguins over there.
I imagine this game is going to be huge for communities, specifically like how, communities talking to each other about the things they discover and how things work together.
Yes. So there's a lot of like obtuse puzzle solving. Obviously, like this is pretty much a very simple switch puzzle. This is an example of a singular room puzzle. But you can also sort of see that up in the top right there, there is like a piece of the wall that gets barred off. So that itself is its own puzzle on like how to take care of that. This game, like so far, I imagine is going to like just have this huge community of people trying to figure out how to solve things. So we got a match here. So those ghosts will respawn if they're in a dark room. So I'm gonna go back and light the unlit candle that's right next to the ghost.
Oh right.
But yeah, it's just so it won't spawn again. It won't give us any more problems. Because it is so obtuse, I imagine that like having like succinct like full guides for this thing might be a little tricky. And so like people are gonna have to rely on community like notes and stuff like that. I know that like in the sort of review period, we have had sort of like talks, me and Sam, about like, hey, what is going on? Or like, how did you solve this puzzle? Or like, did you find this one room? Because like, you know, it's clear, like there are usually very clear directions to go. But when you actually start getting into it and actually start moving around, you start to realize like, oh man, there's like paths everywhere. And like, there's not a single room that is these gorgeous, what do they call it? Herons. Like there's not a single room that is a waste, you know, like we were even walking through those rooms that are just like a single like L bend. And it's like, okay, there might be something in there, or those L bends might be something eventually. So like, let's just keep a mental note of those things. But because it's so big, it can be kind of difficult to keep track of. Luckily, you're able to like mark up the map. But
this is feeding into such a specific weird part of my brain where I have such a need to solve puzzles. Any that I come across, and I'm making mental notes left and right on how do I solve this damn puzzle.
Yeah.
Is that what? Because I know you as a person don't particularly jive with Metroidvanias all that much. Is this?
Yep.
Are you finding this to be like the hook of the game? Is to be solving these puzzles?
Yes, 100%. I'm a huge puzzle guy. I mean, like, if you looked at like my top 10 games of the year last year, it was all puzzle games. It was like Humanity and Chance of Senar. And here's another look at one of the types of puzzles where like the enemy is like dealing with the enemy is more related to the puzzle. There's a bat in the top right there that's going to shoot some fireballs at me. And so like, obviously I'm not supposed to take him out, but I got to deal with him sort of in the confines of completing this puzzle. But yeah, so yeah, I don't love Metroidvania games, but like the fact that the game is just like, okay, take care of the puzzles, like figure out the puzzles. That's what the hook of the game is. And because they're all interconnected, it means that the puzzles get to be like multi-layered, which is something that I think is missing from a lot of puzzle games, right? Like something I really liked. Did you ever play Escape Academy?
I think I played about the first mission, the opening.
Okay, so I love escape rooms because escape rooms can do sort of what I just described, where like there are puzzles that build on one another. Yeah, do you see that?
That's close.
The first time I recorded this, this guy wrecked my shit, so I had to re-record it because I did really bad. That's what you get for getting a little too cocky. But yeah, so you can see like that room opened up this little door over here. To get me another mystic egg.
So what is going on with these eggs?
Christian, I wish I knew.
Okay.
You are collecting. There are I believe like 60 eggs or something like that for you to collect, and they themselves are a big part of the puzzle of like what this game is. I don't want to talk too much about it because, like I said, like so much of this game is based on like puzzles, but also like it's based on like asking yourself like, hey, what was that? So if you look below us, like what's with this little outcrop here? Like it was designed for a reason. Oh wait, we can actually walk through this wall. Oh, and look, a normal egg is hidden in this little egg-shaped room. Oh, and my goodness, same thing on the other side. You know, it's like a big hook of this game is just looking at something and going like, huh, what is that? You know. And being able to figure out like, okay, what is this asking me to do? You know, so if we had gone in here initially,
sure,
we would have not been able to progress because there was the button we needed to hit to turn these fans on. But then it's just through exploration that you end up solving the puzzles. You know what I mean?
Man, this might be a lot of people's favorite game this year.
It might be one of mine. I like I said, I think like. I played it for like an hour when I first got it. And I was like, yeah, all right, it's cute, it's fun. And then like it really, really started to open up. And I just can't get enough of this thing. I can't stop thinking.
Well, that's what you.
Also, it's a gorgeous. What's that?
It is super gorgeous. I love all the background work too happening as you're progressing. Yes. There's like little stuff happening. Also, the reflections in water. I've noticed this blob as he walks across it. You see like the reflection underneath him. That's just pretty.
It's spectacular, and all the animals in it are great too. This thing is just phenomenal. I think I struggle a little bit here because jumping on the bubbles is a little imprecise sometimes. But yeah, I mean,
so how is the platform specifically? It looks like the game is fundamentally puzzle solving through platforming.
Through platforming, yeah. It's okay. There are times when it is a little frustrating, where sometimes it's like I don't know if I can make that jump or do you ever like. You experiment in a game and then the experiment goes wrong, but you don't learn the right lesson from it.
Sure.
You know, you're like, oh, I guess I just can't make that jump, but you can make that jump. You just mess it up, you know?
Right.
So sometimes there are moments like that in here. All in all, though, it's not too bad. It's something that I'm not a huge platformer guy. You can see that.
I could
obviously.
tell. Yeah.
I'm not like a huge platforming guy, but like. It's simple enough that like I don't mind it, and I do think it is quite fun.
Can I ask?
Can I make that jump? Yeah.
Can I ask what you were playing on when you recorded this?
This is on PS5.
PS5. Okay.
PS5.
Did you go D-pad mode when you were doing this platforming?
I tend to use the D-pad if I'm using more precise movements. But I mean, look at me just whiff this. Yeah. I tend to use the D-pad when I'm using more precise movements, but when I'm just walking around, it's more comfortable to just hold a stick to the left. So I got an item here. So this is one of the puzzle solving items. This is a bubble wand, and so now I can produce my own bubbles in order to make higher jumps.
Huge.
Absolutely huge. Cross bigger gaps and stuff like that. You can also kind of like you can use the bubble wand in such a way that you can sort of jump endlessly, but you have to be really careful about it because there are things in the background that will destroy your bubble. So like any sort of leaves and stuff like that will pop the bubble.
Gotcha.
But as you can sort of see here, like this is a moment where like I see that and I go, okay, I don't have the item I need to progress. There was that switch in the wall where I'm like, okay, I don't have anything to hit that switch. And there's a switch, as you can see, up in the top right of this room too. So you just kind of have to go like, okay, I guess I'll just make a note of that and come back. It's like that's the part of the Metroidvania. Don't comment on my platforming here. That's the part of the Metroidvania that I really like because it means that I'm just like constantly being like, what am I supposed to be doing? And when I get a new item, I go, oh, wait a second, I know where I can use that. You know what I mean?
Yes. Is there any way to do like map markers in this game, or is it all mental notes?
Yeah, there are map markers that you can get that work pretty well. You can also like, I don't want to talk too much about the items that you can get, but there are definitely things that can help you out in terms of keeping track of things on the map.
Oh, I
and it's also
see.
interesting.
The
What's that?
That vine did just pop that bubble just for a second. Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. But then you can see like there's like something behind the vine. So I was like, maybe there's something there that's worth me investigating. You can also see there's something behind the water. Oh, look at that. A switch, So it's a lot of like searching for secret rooms and stuff.
Okay.
Which I think is very fun. Because it just, as soon as you look at these areas, you're like, hold on a second, is there something in the top right there? And you're like, okay, I guess I'll try and ride the bubble up, do a little bit of bubble platforming.
Oh,
there totally is. And there's another egg.
I don't know if I would have found that. Well, maybe I would have. I don't know. Who knows? But
then, as you sort of see, I opened up the map and I was like, oh, wait a second. There's like another corner here that's not filled up. So I was like, okay, there's another fruit that I can sort of eat. But the powers are, what's so cool about the powers and the items that you get is that like they're all like pretty limited. So like you saw me, the bubble pops pretty easily.
Sure.
Also like I have to be, if I want to go up, I have to be like pretty precise about it, and it's not like the sort of thing that you can perform like 30 times in a row to just get like crazy height. Like the actual like bubble platforming can be just a little bit tricky, But what's that? And then you end up...
All right, that's cool.
...in some pipes. And then now there's another treasure chest, There's a lot to this that I really, really like. It's gorgeous. It sounds good. It feels good. What's up?
I think the thing for me about like how do I judge a Metroidvania success is how well does it peel back the layers in terms of intricacy and complexity to keep me engaged throughout. And it seems like even just here in the opening minutes, like it is opening up vastly way more than what I was expecting it to.
There's a lot of stuff in this game where you start out and you go like, yeah, this is cute. This is fun. Like I said, I played for an hour and I was like, yeah, I get it. And then it just unfolds and peels back and peels back and peels back. And you just realize like, oh my gosh, there's so much to this. And like, yeah, like the individual puzzle solving has been interesting and is fun. Like trying to figure out which fish mouth to get into to get to the switches in this room. Like, yeah, that's fun and interesting. However, like the actual like larger scale puzzles that end up happening about like, okay, there are actually like a lot of other things potentially in this room that you might just not have known about because you didn't have an item or because you weren't thinking about the game like that yet. Right. Is huge. So on its surface, the puzzles are fun and it like the individual room puzzles are great. However, like in practice, it turns into like, oh, wait a second. All of these rooms were trying to tell me something. And you look like a crazy person because you just have your cork board set up. You know what I mean? Of just like, wait a second, if I need to go in here and here and here,
I've played The Witness. I know what it's like. I've written down my handheld notes on my numerous like pads. I get it.
Yeah. That was me with a Chance of Senar. I'm just like, okay, I need to actually take like some.
Oh, you needed to. That was like about like handwriting it or like language. Yeah, I get it, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, like even as you watch this, like it's funny. Like even replaying the beginning section, I was reminded of like, oh, like I need to follow up on this specific thing because I totally forgot that this happened at the very beginning, and that was very telling of some stuff that I learned later on in the game. But it's just like there's so many things that are like, what? Hey, what is that? And then you get to go see it, and you get to take a look up close at it, and there's just so many layers to it.
No.
These guys knock you down. I think I struggle with this just a little bit, but this is sort of towards the end of my little demo period here, because again, I just don't want to reveal too much because like so much of the fun of this game is discovering not only like how to solve again the individual room puzzles, but learning how to think about the game. Like I mentioned, like it's important to take a look at like the different rooms and go like, okay, like obviously like there's a goal of this room on its surface of getting across this area, but are there any other things that this room is trying to tell me and trying to get me to do? And the answer is almost always yes, there is. I'm so sorry about this platforming.
I need you to retroactively hand me the controller and see what I can do.
But like, hey man, it's hard.
No, I get it.
It's hard.
I get it.
But you can also see that, like I said, like using this bubble wand can be tricky to do multiple times in succession.
Oh,
yeah, there we go. We
did
can
it.
finally make it to the other side. And what was waiting for us at the end here? Let's take a look. Can I make the jumps?
perhaps another egg?
Christian Macias, you know I can. It's a great egg.
Great egg. Great egg for a great game.
Yeah. So there you go. That is Animal Well. Like I said, don't want to show too much just because so much of the game is based on discovery and whatnot. It's the sort of thing where when you think it's done showing you everything it's got, it absolutely is not done showing you everything it's got. So yeah, there you go. Animal Well. It's out. It's not on Xbox, but it's on PlayStation, on Switch, and PC. The game, I believe, is on is part of the PS Plus not collection. You know how it's broken into 3 tiers.
Yes, there's the premium, the not so premium, and then the basic.
Yeah. I've got the basic one, and this is not on there, but it is, I believe, on the premium and the bigger one. So yeah, there you go, Animal Well. It is, I believe, out by the time you are watching this. So give it a shot. I really like it.
Single-handedly put it on my radar.
There you go.